Hey everyone, welcome to More Than Meets These Guys. This is another episode of Boo of the Axon Underground and myself going over the comics. But we decided to change gears. If you listen to the first episode, you'll realize that we decided to take a stab at doing the UK comics because, as Americans, and I know this isn't true for everyone else, but as Americans, we didn't have first run at the UK comics. So there's a lot of stories we never saw in the US that we've seen later years. So this would be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But at this point, we're still in what would be the American run because the first 4 issues, which is the first 8 issues of the UK, is still that original limited series. So
Right.
because of that, we're jumping ahead to UK issue number 3, which is would be essentially like the first half of issue 2 of the American comic. So yeah, let's
Right.
get this thing started because I gotta say also what you pointed out to me, like I believe last week or Kevin, when we were talking, is they don't always have the issues colored. Like there's color and there's line art, there's color and line art.
Right.
And man, I'm loving the line art. It's clean. It looks
Yeah,
really
it's very good line art. Did you see in the letters column though, where there was a guy complaining about it already?
I didn't see that. I read another letter, but I didn't get that one though.
It's like, Transformer fan, foundation right there is complaining about the franchise. Like the very beginning.
Well, staying on brand at least, right?
Right. What's the saying? No one hates Transformers more than Transformer fans.
Man, that's so true.
Oh, and to catch up on something that we overlooked last time is you said the spark plug on the cover looked like somebody famous, and we figured it out. Yeah. And you want to do the reveal or?
Oh, Joe Don himself,
Yeah.
Mitchell, for you
Mitchell from
MST3K
MST.
fans. Joe Don Baker.
Oh, walking tall. So yeah, spark plug on the cover, I mean, is the spitting image of Joe Don Baker. If they didn't use Joe Don Baker, he was on their mind when they made that picture.
We were talking over Discord, and I'm over there shopping at Kroger after we did the last episode, the first episode, and no Kroger doesn't fund us, but if we're DMs are open. But the ones they were walking around, just like trying to figure it out. Like, man, it feels like someone, an older actor, like something that made me on MST3K, and I don't know if you thought of it at first. I was like,
it was you.
It's
you
Mitchell.
Yeah, when you said that, I looked at him. I was like, "Oh my god,
it's
is
Joe Don Baker.
Joe Don Baker."
Look,
I think we just sat there and laughed for like 5 minutes.
Oh god, I was dying.
The realization.
He looks like he's had less bourbon and cigarettes and less sweaty, but it's definitely his face.
No Linda Evans.
Unfortunately for him.
Maybe that's Buster's mom.
Oh, that's why she's
Linda
not there.
Evans. Right.
Linda Evans was like, I can't. No, I'm done. I'm out of here. Oh my god, that was fantastic. I gotta find something to put in this episode with Joe Don Baker, as long as he doesn't sue us.
He just wants to kick your butt. Yeah.
I'll have a cage match with you, Joe Don. We'll film it and put it up on the Discord.
Oh, that'd be great.
Anyways, so yeah, man, I love this. The UK comics, as you pointed out, they're like half issues, and then they put an issue, let's say, like Machine Man at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, full disclosure, I'm having trouble getting the Machine Man. I've tried reading it, and it is very emblematic of those 80s X-Men or whatever franchise you're doing, where there is so much exposition from the narrator, just like the first issue of Transformers is.
Oh yeah.
So much you have to know what's going on in the panel. So,
and I've never been a big fan of Machine Man anyway.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Dino Mutt. He's like a human Dino Mutt.
The only difference here is Dynamite actually is enjoyable.
Yeah, he's entertaining. It helps to have Blue Falcon with him too.
Yeah, Blue Falcon.
Oh.
So, man, another thing I really like about this issue, and like these early issues are really good about this, they still play into those dynamics of the characters. but they are so much more. Well, I say mostly more subtle about it. But like see, we actually get Megatron starting out noting that Starscream undermines his commands, but his advice is sound.
Mm-hmm.
Which you don't ever really get that in the cartoon. There is so much information in the comic that's you just have to have like an hour-long episode of the cartoon to have all the information in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, and we had a roster change on here.
Oh, that's right. You want to go ahead and reveal that?
Yeah. Well, apparently we were mispronouncing his name last time. It's Ralph Macchio. He doesn't pronounce it like Ralph Macchio. Yeah. But yeah, Jim Salicrup has taken over for him.
Okay.
For this issue. Like Macchio only did issue 1. Salicrup did this one. And it seems like Macchio became the editor of Daredevil and stayed on that until 1995. So that's probably he's like the toy comic. Nah, I'll do Daredevil.
He wasted his time. Daredevil. Who reads that book?
What? Who's that guy?
I bet he'll never even get his own movie or show.
Right? No TV shows.
Man, maybe a good move for the Karate Kid.
And the cover art for this issue, which has Bumblebee standing. Was it? This one? Yeah, it's Bumblebee standing in the garage.
Yeah,
like in front of Sparkplug and Buster. That was done by Jerry Paris, who also did the issue 1 cover for UK that had Soundwave like just blasting the bejesus out of Optimus.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, he did both of those covers.
And I gotta look at my phone because I don't have a physical copy of the comic, but
yeah, and he did several other covers for UK Transformers. And he did the letter work for Doctor Who magazine. And now he works as an illustrator and storyboard artist.
Well, very cool.
He does some really good work.
Oh,
I did a little digging on him.
Yeah, the love the cover. Maybe we'll hopefully get a picture of it for the thumbnail of the episode.
Oh yeah.
The art of Bumblebee is kind of weird, man. You couldn't even tell he's a VW bug.
Yeah.
It doesn't look bad though. I mean, he kind of reminds me of a I don't know, like a G2 car. He's just very. He could be anyone, but the coloring shows he's obviously Bumblebee. So also, man, they put on the cover. We're giving away Transformers toys. I mean, like if that didn't get you to buy a comic, I don't know what would have done it.
Right.
And also free inside a Transformers Iron-On transfer. Man,
oh yeah.
Come on. And then like in the bottom,
which we'll have a picture of that for the YouTube.
Yes, I would ask one. I wanted to mention it. So yeah, man. Immediately, the cover is light years beyond what the U.S. one was, just because it kind of gives you that idea of what's in the comic, and it really, I mean, it takes a panel scene, not the actual panel, but a scene from those panels, and blows it up, exaggerates it, which is kind of cool.
Oh, another first for this issue is they added the Autobot fact file. They did one on Hound. Right. And it's basically just paraphrasing his tech spec bio.
Yeah, and
yeah, it's almost verbatim.
Yeah, they laid it out a little differently, but yeah, it's kind of cool. They're continuing with the robot, stuff. They're let's see, I love this though. They also have little tie-ins to the Mandala game, which from Machine Man, which kind of looks like Chinese checkers, honestly.
Yeah.
So. You were telling me something kind of cool though, that they something about the letters. They actually reimburse the people who wrote letters. Like if you got a letter printed, they'd pay you like £5 or £3 or whatever like that.
Yeah, it was £5. Yeah, which that works out to, with translating to USD now, that'd be almost $20.
Dude, and that was back in 1984.
Yeah, so yeah, £5 back then. Yeah, you could have went out and bought you a Sideswipe or a Prowl.
Easily.
For that, yeah.
I mean, talking cost of inflation, where you talking like more like $50? I don't know.
Oh, no. It'd be $20 now with inflation.
Okay, so $20 now. Okay, yeah. I was going to say. So yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been, I think, closer to like $6.99, something like that back then.
God. I remember the last toys I was collecting as a kid were the Predacons, as in Predaking.
Oh yeah,
and those suckers were about $20 a piece.
Oh yeah,
I want to say they were. I can't remember. I saved up for every single one of them I had though.
When you're a kid, it might as well be 100.
Yeah, it pretty much was. I was doing every chore I could, man. Begging, borrowing from people who were, family members, when his birthdays came up or whatever. What do you want? I want Headstrong or or whatever.
Right. Oh, and there's a very interesting letter in here about the guy who was complaining that he couldn't find Megatron. With it, Tim
right.
Haley from Leeds was his name. And it turns out in the UK, they didn't get Megatron until 1985.
Yeah. You found a
Yeah.
1985 catalog, right?
Yeah, that was on Botch the Crab's site.
Oh, yeah, that's a great site.
Yeah,
Got a lot on
he
there.
still has great stuff on there.
So yeah, they like us, they had a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of Transformers that never made it out during 1985. You're telling me like Whirl, Roadbuster, Shockwave,
Perceptor.
Perceptor.
Yeah,
Jetfire.
Jetfire showed up in 86 finally. And I never saw the Constructicons on any of the catalogs. It doesn't mean they weren't sold, but they weren't put in the catalog.
That's bizarre to me.
And well, and half of the Autobot cars didn't show up until 85. It was like Sunstreaker, Wheeljack, and a few others. Like there's 6. It's the 6 that you keep seeing in the ads in these comics. Yeah, you know how they have the big picture with like Jazz fighting Thundercracker?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have like the 6 out of that's the ones that showed up in 84, and all the rest of them showed up in 85.
Wow.
Along with Hoist and all those other guys that showed up in 85 normally.
I mean, if we have any people listening from the UK who want to give us some insight on that, say like, when you were a kid, what they had available or what they didn't have available, definitely let us know in the Discord, email us or anything like that. Because
please educate us.
And Boo, I mean, you grew up in Texas, I grew up in Florida. I was lucky to see what I saw. But
they were everywhere here. I mean, yeah. I was in Houston, so we had plenty of toy stores. So
yeah, well, I was not. So
we even had like Diacrons right next to them, like just a whole like wall of them there.
There was one little store that was, I want to say like on 12th Avenue in Pensacola. I don't know what the place is now. I think it's like a children's advocacy center or whatever. But at the time, it was this little store that had like the Japanese Go Lions, ones with lead paint,
oh yeah, the good ones
and things like that. They probably had that kind of stuff up in there, but who knows? Different times.
The best.
Yeah. Oh, the lead, the tastiest of the metals. So anyway, so we're like I said though, Megatron is just noting that Starscream's undermining his commands, but his advice is sound because Starscream, all he's doing is suggesting that Buzzsaw goes instead of Ravage because Buzzsaw flies. But Ravage proves that he's actually a master spy pretty quickly, man. He gets in there, sneaks around, uses his alt mode to jump into the Walkman of a guy walking around like a tape player.
Dude, it's agile.
Ravage is easily the best of the Decepticons in this so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's the MVP so far. Like he's doing 100%. All the heavy lifting for him.
100%. And he's one of those guys that I don't know, he almost like we'll get into the stuff later in the issue, but I almost feel like he's not 100% of the Decepticon cause, but then Megatron praises him, so he's all in. He talks to a certain Autobot later on who you kind of get the feeling that they have the same feelings about the whole war, but we'll see.
Like they have a history.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah.
So Ravage, man, he spends hours and then gives the Decepticons a much needed info on the fuel reserves there, which, in case anyone doesn't know the issue, I think it's the Harris nuclear power plant.
Yeah, Harrison. Yeah, Harrison nuclear power. And I love that, Megatron sent Ravage in just because Starscream asked for Buzzsaw.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it's a good idea, but we're not going to do it your way. We're going to do it my way. Because he even thinks like, wow, Starscream's trying to undermine me, but he's right, but I'm just not going to do it his way.
Yeah. And man, I'll tell you that this issue really shows all the powers of the tapes. They really go into them a lot on this.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anyone
were really underused. I mean, you had Rumble show up and wreck some stuff every once in a while in the cartoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really rely on the tapes for
A
here.
lot, actually. Well, I mean, they're basically the espionage. And Megatron knows that.
Oh, and sorry,
No, go
BZ
ahead.
gave me some information earlier. Because we were talking about the nuclear power plant was being half constructed.
Yeah.
And so the Decepticons are attacking it for fuel. Well, he talked to Harold Lyons from allspark.net,
Mhm.
and he works in nuclear power, and he said, yeah, that thing wouldn't even have like fuel to run
God.
at that stage. Like he says, it has to be completely finished and then tested and retested, and then they'll do low power tests to start it up. But like when it's half finished, there won't even be any like fissionable material there.
Yeah, actually, I watched I guess a special on 3 Mile Island, and even though that was a disaster, 3 Mile Island, and there's a problem that we went into the excessive testing they generally do and how long it takes to get an actual nuclear power plant going. So yeah, there's no way this would be up and going yet.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. We're jumping ahead a little bit here, though. They break apart the plant and make it into their base, and then they still need energy. Like one of the things they didn't. They said, "Wait, what do you mean it's not producing energy, dude? Come on." I don't know.
Well, yeah, they broke it first.
They did. Well, these are really nice materials. Let's take it back and use it. What do you mean it's not working?
If you blow up the gas station, you can't fill up. You got to fill up first.
In Megatron, though, he knows that these are the same aliens that worked with the Autobots, and that they possess technology that would help them attain energy. They possess the technology, but they're not done with this technology yet.
Right.
Man, I can tell you also, being that it's one of those sought after mini cars, there's a full page add-on giving away Transformers as contest, and there's Yellow Cliff Jumper.
Oh yeah,
He's right there, big as life on the page, and we would like I have a Yellow Cliff Jumper, I have a bumper, I have a red Bumblebee, and these kinds of things, and seeing Yellow Cliff Jumper like right there blazing.
I think that's the largest photo I've ever seen of Yellow Cliff Jumper.
Yeah, they advertised the hell out of the guy. He wasn't even actual toy using the show or the comic book.
Yeah,
I don't know, ironic.
Yeah.
So we're back. So Ravage came back and gave that whole report, and Megatron's like, all right, go get it. And so we get back there, and the jets all take off with Laserbeak and Buzzsaw, and take the tape mode Soundwave to attack the nuclear power plant. So Soundwave transforms, jumps in the cockpit of one of them. I think this is Lionheart, so I couldn't tell who was who.
Yeah, it was Thundercracker.
Okay, and then
it said it in the exposition.
Oh, okay. Dude, there's so much exposition.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much. It's not as bad as the first issue, but it's pretty good. Laserbeak and Buzzsaw, though, I mean, they're pretty used in these issues. This and the next one I've read ahead, and they are used quite a bit. And they really make a point to note why they're so effective. And so
they all get to take a turn using their special weapons.
Yeah, here's why you should buy the toy. They started with Thundercracker's Sonic Boom, which it shakes all the humans. They're all freaking out. And there's a little narration saying the attack is swift and deadly. Man, and it is. Starscream drops cluster bombs on all the people. You see like bodies laying on the ground.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty brutal. And
which are now outlawed weapons.
Yes,
cluster bombs. They outlawed them like globally because of Starscream, probably.
Look, not in the Reagan's America, they weren't.
Oh no.
Load them up if you're listening.
No, it was like 2010 when they finally outlawed them.
Yes,
because they kept finding them undetonated.
Yeah, those things are dangerous, man. They're horrible.
Yeah.
Skywarp notes that the humans employ far better defensive methods on their machines than themselves. How backwards. So
he's trying to figure out why we're not building ourselves to be big and tough like our machine.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're not running around like Iron Man. And but
it kind of goes into that where they don't understand organic life. They think we're like them. So like, why wouldn't you upgrade yourself? Are you dumb? I mean,
well, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
They expected us to have exosuits or something to fight back.
Anything. Yeah. We're just a bunch of wimps.
Let's get G.I. Joe in here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Thundercracker. Oh, sorry. When he comes in, he does that, like half the page is just a boom.
Oh yeah,
where he comes in and introduces them.
I like that though. They use his sonic boom, what he's supposed to be known for, all the time in these issues.
Oh yeah, he used it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever used it in the cartoon.
no, he hasn't. I don't. Yeah, no. I think actually we're just to the point in Megatron's Master Plan, which that should be an upcoming episode here, where he actually has Dirge use his stuff more than I think he's ever had Thundercracker use anything as far as like the sound of his engines and whatnot. Because Dirge
Oh
always
yeah,
has this whole sound. It's supposed to be like a dirge as a music.
yeah, that fear response.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, anyways,
yeah,
back to this though. So the
yeah.
second wave attacks. This includes Laserbeak with his precision shot. So Laserbeak, I guess, is a really good marksman with his lasers, which
Yeah.
and then Ravage with his ferocity, Buzzsaw with his serrated beak. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
why he's
diamond
Buzzsaw.
hard.
Yeah. They take this serrated beak that's diamond hard and rip through things. So
Yeah.
you actually know why he's called Buzzsaw now. And then the workers try to call for help, but Frenzy uses his power to overcome the radio signals. So you see Frenzy like silhouetted in the back going, ah.
He's like a
And the guy's
walking
like, I can't
jamming
get
tower.
through. But there's a really important message in the comic right here. Be safe with your fireworks. When it comes to Guy Fawkes Day, be safe. I wrote these all down because some of them were kind of ridiculous. I started to have a little segue in here, but keep your fireworks in a closed box and take them out one at a time and put them back at once. Okay. Follow the instructions of each firework carefully. Read them by torchlight and never a naked flame. So don't hold up to a torch like, what does this do?
Well, remember in the UK, a torch is a flashlight.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, like by the naked flame, like you're gonna hold a torch or a candle up to it, like read the instructions.
You tell that to Americans and we'll get blown up. Oh, use a torchlight. Okay.
We'll do that anyways.
An electric torch, you idiot.
Yeah, light into firework fuse at arm's length. Dude, I can just see little kids like, when we all did that, we're like, I want to blow my hand off. Stand well back. Oh, okay, sure. Never return to a firework once lit. Dude, I don't know how many times you did this as a kid. Like, oh, it went out. Then light it again. How many times? I did that all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, especially like the ones that popped on you. Never put fireworks in your pocket. Well, I don't know. Keep your pets indoors. There goes the cat.
Right.
And never
keep them away from your friends.
Yeah, never fool with fireworks. Come on, man. We're kids. Of course we're gonna fool fireworks. That's what kids do. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know what else to do with this issue, get your robot watch. Chrono guy.
Or yeah.
Chronoform.
Yeah, they're like the chronoform, but they're not quite.
No.
Like they're almost the chronoform watches.
They're like the knockoff version of the chronoform. But actually, I was kind of curious about when the chronoforms all came out. Apparently they came out in 1984 also. So I thought they came out a little later, but maybe not. But anyways, back to the issue. Robo uses his power to dislodge parts involved with a nuclear power plant, and the Decepticons dismantle it and make a base out of it.
And you have a real world reference seeping in where the guys thought it was the Soviets attacking.
Yeah, he did.
It's like, it's gotta be the Russians.
The Ruskies got us.
Yeah.
But they would go to a power plant in Oregon to cause an earthquake and then take all the pieces of the wall of an incomplete nuclear power plant, which, by the way, I don't know when you guys, if you guys are aware when Chernobyl happened, it was in the 80s.
Yeah, it was 2 years after this.
So this is actually kind of a fun, what if the Russians took this, took it, made their own nuclear power plant in Chernobyl.
Well, that ties into what they did in Dark of the Moon.
Oh God.
Where they're using transformer tech and melted the thing down.
Yeah. So actually, that's a great real world, factor that creeping in there. So this is not an actual usable nuclear power plant, and they go and make a base out of it. It kind of
it also shows how alien they are because they don't even understand our most advanced tech. They they don't even know how it works. It's so primitive to them. It's like, yeah.
Did you notice he basically made another Castle Megatron, like a Castle
Yeah.
Grayskull he had on Cybertron.
Oh yeah, his Castlevania castle.
Yeah, he makes it out of the nuclear power plant walls. So back to the Witwicky Garage. Sparkplug thinks Buster is playing a joke on him because he hears the car like, "Oh, I'm dying," and like, "All right, where's your friend at?" And he's like, "Dad, seriously, this car's dying. You got to help me here." It's like, all right. He goes, "Look, I don't know what to think here, but I'm just proud that you want me to help." And he goes, "Dad, you can repair anything." All right, he's playing to his dad's vanity. You're right. I can. I'll help you here. So he goes and has he spends all night to work on Bumblebee, but the whole time, like, there's oil and coolant dripping out. And Buster's like, it's like, this is his blood, Dad. That's why he's dying. All his oil's leaking out. This proves right here that they didn't know what to do with Transformers at the time. Because, you kind of hear the references like this in the show, oil, or my dipstick, or my
Leaking lubricant.
Yeah, leaking lubricant, my differential, my alignment's off. I mean, obviously they didn't really have that sort of thing. So we're in, like, early territory here, where like leaking oil and coolant from a Transformer is going to be his blood.
And this really points out a big difference between the Sunbow cartoon and this. Is there is no Energon yet. There's no Energon cubes. There's no just dump anything into the Energon cube and it becomes fuel. These guys are struggling to find food, basically.
Oh yeah, they're beat up, and they're starving pretty much. And so this came out before the cartoon.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're writing the cartoon Bible at this time. Like, what's going to be in the show? What can you do? What can't you do? What are the main elements of it?
They didn't even write that for the show until halfway through season 1.
True. Well, I mean, they kind of talked about it a bit. They were kind of figuring it out. I think they kind of wrote it as they went in season 1.
Yeah, they didn't standardize it though until at least after the pilot, because they hired like a new writing team for that.
Well, I mean, you think about it, the Autobots flew at first, and then they didn't.
That's why there's so many differences between what happens in the pilot, is because they had a different writing team and didn't standardize anything until after that.
Well, like we've talked about before, and Ed and I have talked about it before also. During the 80s, there were a lot of like limited series, like short run things to see how they do.
Right.
Robotics is one that always comes to mind to me.
Oh yeah.
You have G.I. Joe is one of the things. They came out with a little limited series, and then it got really big, and so of course they ended up being like 7 seasons of TV for some of those being Deke. But so you had like Transformers was technically 4 seasons, but like it was like 3 and a little bit on the end, and a movie. Jim was big, and he always had like 1 season.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of these shows that had limited series. We'll see how they do. If they're received well, then we'll make a full show out of it, because it was they don't invest a lot then. But so
they're being cautious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they were at this time
until they weren't.
Yeah, no. At this time, that it was during the time in America where during the Reagan presidency, we Ed and I joke about this a lot, and as well as I do, because you're a little bit older than I am, where there was a whole thing where the training wheels were taken off of afternoon cartoons.
Oh yeah, well, it was illegal to make toy commercials that were cartoons. Like Hot Wheels had a lawsuit about Matchbox sued them.
Yeah, that was the one that did it. Yeah,
but they outlawed until '83.
Yeah, and as long as you, I think if you had like a lesson or you have PSAs and things involved, you can get away with it. And they kind of got away from that. But anyway,
so what Transformers did that was different, like, okay, He-Man always had like the little lesson at the end, and then G.I. Joe had the PSAs. They did make Transformers PSAs, but they didn't use them because they actually worked the educational and lesson part into the story.
Yeah,
that's why, like in the cartoons, we've got to get the ruby crystals from Burma. So they're teaching you geography. They would work it in like that. That's how they skirted that.
Well, you also talking about how kids can work on oil platforms as well.
Oh yeah, child labor. I mean,
child labor is great. So
the children yearn for the mines.
So they work on Bumblebee. Well, Sparkplug works on Bumblebee all night. There's this great panel where it's silhouetted of Sparkplug like leaning down, kind of like he's just beat up, and Buster's over like across the room looking at him, and he pulls this great McCoy reference. He's like,
Oh yeah.
"Last son, I'm a mechanic, not a doctor." Because Buster, weirdly enough, is treating this car like it's a real living being. And so he's just doing what he can. Like Sparkplug's doing what he can to figure it out. And he even
Oh
notes
yeah, he
that,
asked if it's healed, not if he's fixed. Is he
yeah,
healed?
yeah. Well, in Sparkplug even like keeps referencing how weird the car is. It's just like it's not normal, but he's gonna keep
Yeah.
working on it. And so
He's
there's
still
a
looking
whole
for O in there though.
yeah.
And
But
what
there's
kind of
this
name is
whole
just O? The dude's name is just the letter O.
before
And we
that though, there's a little bit where Bumblebee transforms to talk to them for a bit. And he basically, kind of like, "Hey, I'm Bumblebee. I'm from Cybertron. That's why I think it says his code name is Bumblebee," is what he says.
yeah, he says code name. That's
Yeah.
like
So
it's
he
not
has
really
a
his
whole
name.
exposition, and like Sparkplug just asks him stuff. He's like, "Do all small pink things ask so many questions?" Sparkplug's like, "Wow, I didn't expect to get a smart aleck robot."
Right? Yeah, he made Sparkplug kind of mad there.
Yeah, he did. It's like, "Yeah, they just fixed you." But yeah, you cut away and you have back in the city, Jessie and O are walking down the street with O holding a huge tape player like radio, like a boombox on his shoulder. And he's listening to this like broadcast, which mentions the Dazzler. Because remember, this is in Marvel, so of course they're gonna mention a mutant to tie it in together.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Dazzler from the X-Men. And so Ravage is like kind of skulking around in the shadows, and he sees the opportunity to use O's radio for copying. Basically, he turns to a tape, jumps into O's radio to listen, like record the whole conversation that was going on. So O and Jessie miraculously run into Bumblebee and Buster in traffic, and he kind of goes the whole thing, and like Buster talks about what happened at the drive-in theater, this whole back and forth with them, and it over references a show called That's Incredible, which which was canceled. He said in the same like bubble. It
In
was
that
like
same year, actually.
yeah, I was gonna say it was canceled in
84.
1984, where it was a show where people could like submit crazy stunts or recorded things like things they've seen. It was kind of on the same. I barely remember it. Kind of on the same thing as Ripley's Believe It or Not, but it was like
Yeah.
it was like America's weirdest home videos. Not great, not funniest, but like things you saw that were just don't make a lot of sense. They put it on there and they laugh about it and talk about things. But yeah, it didn't. It went from like 80 to 84. So right when this was being written, it was probably canceled. So it's kind of neat to
Right.
have reference that show because I forgot about it completely.
Oh yeah, I used to watch it religiously.
Yeah. So meanwhile, back in the Ark, old Auntie says that their fuel reserves are critically low. Unless a minimum fuel reserves are met swiftly, they can't use the Ark for flying. Like basically, they're stuck there, and they can't repel a Decepticon attack.
Yeah, they're in bad shape.
Yeah,
They're out
real
of
bad
gas.
they have no food. They're like the landlord's like, "You got to do something, guys, because we can't deal with this." And they're all discussing how they can refuel. And Wind Charger is like, it's the first time I see Wind Charger, by the way, which is kind of cool. He says, like, Optimus, what they can do. And Mirage just suggests that they go and take it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, why can't we just take this energy? And so Optimus decides they can
Decepticon talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Ironhide's riding his rascal scooter still.
Oh yeah. Well, and Ratchet is basically not ready to admit that we're, sentient beings yet. They're not life forms like we know it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little hubris. They're dying. They got to do something here. But so Optimus decides they can offer up Cybertronian tech in exchange for fuel. Maybe that's how they can get around this. Which I don't know. It rubs me wrong. It's like not the Optimus Prime that you expected. Like you don't think they'd be like, sure, Dr. Fujiyama, you famous scientist, here's some of our technology. Now, can we have some?
Oh yeah.
But
well, and there's actual plots later in the comic series where they're trying to keep humans from getting Cybertronian tech.
Yeah, exactly.
But first Optimus shows up. He's like, let's trade him some of our junk.
I got this gun I don't use. You can have this.
Yeah.
But Mirage just has a little thought bubble. He's like, you know what? I don't get this. Decepticons wouldn't pander to dealing with the humans. Why should we?
Oh yeah, he's thinking he'd been better off on the other side.
Yeah, 100%. He's like, we wouldn't. He basically kind of has this whole thing where, like, why are we lowering ourselves dealing with them? We could just take what we want. Truth being told, they really can't because they're so low energy right now.
Oh yeah, but Mirage is like super shady.
Yeah, you get why he was. They used him as the plot for Traitor on the Sunday show, even though in the show he wasn't at all like that. Well, I would say except for the ending of the original miniseries where he climbed onto the Decepticon ship and he thought about going back to Cybertron.
He was deserting.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, I could just hide in here. No one's going to see me.
And they made it where he was just really homesick. But this Mirage is a jerk.
He is. He sucks.
He's an egotist.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
He thinks he's above everyone. You're right, man. And I gotta say, then we're on that line art for a while. We're back to color, and it's ugly coloring.
Oh yeah, it switches back and forth. It's a little disorienting. If it just do one or the other, I'd be fine with it.
I would rather have a line art rather than this colorist. What's that guy's name?
The line art's beautiful.
Oh yeah, the colorist. What's his name again?
Nel Yomtov.
Yeah, Nomtop, man. He that dude just like, I think he was drunkenly using watercolors they found in Crayola watercolor books. It looks terrible. There's like Hound has like nice line art, and there's a green blob over top of where he is. It's just it's pretty awful.
Oh yeah.
But so Hound receives a signal from Bumblebee. Basically, Bumblebee got with Sparkplug, and they go to the junkyard, and they kind of create this hodgepodge together. I don't know, a communications terminal thing. He's got this like my first karaoke set microphone over in his mouth. He's talking. Yeah, so I met these guys. I think he can use his technology to make it so we can use fuel for energy. And dude, Optimus is like, problem solved. Let's go meet this guy. It's perfect. And so they all have this whole thing where they all get together. He says something like, "Oh, it's Earth mode," and they all transform into cars, and then they rumble out of the arc, and there's this huge, like, they go straight up a hill. The way it's drawn, it may be a forced perspective, but I mean, it looks like they come down this road and they go straight up a hill and then out.
Oh yeah, and it said that Huffer and Wheeljack built the road.
Yeah, which I mean makes sense. Huffer is essentially an engineer, which I guess makes him less a insufferable jerk. And Wheeljack, of course he does. I'm surprised Wheeljack doesn't have like pop out turrets or something in the middle of it.
Because the road didn't blow up or something.
Yeah. That was a successful invention. Why? It didn't blow up. So they go on to meet the Witwickies, where Bumblebee is hanging out. And that's it for issue number 3. Before we get to Machine Man, which, full disclosure, I could not. It was hard to read, man.
He was fighting Rambo.
Yeah, it was. His name was like, well, it wasn't John Rambo. It was something else.
It was Joseph Rambo.
Joseph Rambo, an investment banker.
Yeah, that's weird because he was trying to rip off the insurance company.
Yeah, what a terrible kids comic book, man.
Oh yeah, this it sounds like it'd be like a Crimson Twins scheme.
You're not wrong.
Some white collar crime for Tomax and Zaymot.
What was the name of something Enterprises? Executive Enterprises?
Extensive Enterprises.
Extensive Enterprises.
Yeah.
God, I love that.
Very generic name.
Yeah. They were the business front to Cobra.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, he was, and then there was like a mobster that was what was it? Gianelli. Gianelli was like facing off with Khan and Xanadu.
Yeah.
And then Rambo shows up and just threatens him out of nowhere because Khan was like the richest customer of the insurance company.
Yeah.
And then Machine Man shows up and it's just nuts.
And Machine Man looks like an android version of the Shadow. or not the Shadow, the
Oh
Phantom.
yeah.
Sorry, the Phantom.
Phantom. Yeah, I could see that.
Oh man,
All that purple on him.
yeah, it's like purple, but he's got that. He looks like a small oh god, what are the things in the X-Men, the giant
Oh, the Sentinels.
Sentinels? Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks like a man-sized Sentinel.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
Oh yeah, and then did you see how Rambo dies in this?
No, I didn't make that far.
Okay, he flies away like he's got like flight power, and he's trying to get away from Machine Man. Machine Man's flying after and chasing him, and he turns around like to see if he's behind him, and he hits the power lines.
Oh god.
And then
Uh-oh.
Khan swears he's gonna bend Machine Man to his will. And that's how it ends.
That's terrible.
Yeah. It was just out of the blue. He just turned around to see if Machine Man was still behind him and just hit the power lines.
God. That's terrible. It's so bad. Yeah, that was the least interesting plot of any comic book I'd ever read. And I liked, like the old Scrooge McDuck comic books when I was younger. We had some of those. Or the weird Star Wars comics that went off in their little side adventures. Those things were more exciting than this.
Yeah.
God, what? I guess that's why it had to be side B for the Transformers comics.
Oh yeah.
God, there was someone, I think, in the next issue on the letter column complaining about Machine Man.
Yeah, there is. We'll save that for the next one. Though,
Oh yeah,
it's good.
All right. Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, I gotta say, I always like to give a little review of the episodes we watch. So, of the issues, I'll say this: line art is perfect. I mean, I think it's early still. It's they haven't quite figured out the standardized look of them yet. And even Bumblebee in the next issue looks a little weird how they draw him, but they're trying to figure out what they look like compared to the toys and the standardized look for the comics. So
Yeah.
Wheeljack is still not Wheeljack. Ironhide and Ratchet still have their rascal scooters.
Yeah.
And it was nice noticing Windcharger because you could kind of tell with his head, but his feet, you can see the backs of the it's not a Camaro, is a Firebird, or was it Camaro? There's
You talking about Windcharger?
Yeah.
Windcharger, yeah, he was a Trans Am.
Trans Am. There's the back
Yeah.
window that slotted window Trans Ams. You can see that on his
Yeah.
feet, so you can see it was him. In Mirage, they actually did his head really well, as you could tell it was him. So besides the fact
Yeah.
he kept complaining about, being there. And honestly, for a lot of the stuff in there, the lineup was great. The coloring just was bad. I wish I
Yeah.
could say something nice about it, but I can't find anything nice to say about it.
It
But
was
yeah.
in color. That's it.
Yom-Tov really did not do the line art any favors. And it might just be because as I've gotten older, I've read more like, non-colored comics, like the Walking Dead comics. A lot of like manga's not colored. I kind of prefer sometimes where there's no color involved. With these, I'm definitely on board with like no coloring.
Well, I'd rather have no color than sloppy color.
Yeah. Well, like
Yeah.
later on the UK books, we were talking about this earlier. The coloring is really good because they're not using the American team, so Yom-Tov's not involved in the color later on.
Oh yeah, some of that stuff is just beautiful.
You were saying it looked airbrushed. I said it looks painted. I mean, some of the stuff is just really well done. And I would take line art over Yom-Tov's or stuff right now, and then later on it gets better. But yeah, man, it was a good book. There is so much exposition still, though.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I have a bonus story whenever you're.
Oh yeah, when to go
ready.
For it, man.
It is the Ballad of the Dragon 64.
Please.
Okay. Yeah, there's an ad early on in this issue where it's a Weetabix thing, and they're giving away, a Dragon 64 home computer.
Yep.
So I had to look it up. I had to see what this thing. I wanted to see what it had in it. And yeah, so it was a Welsh personal computer that came from it may not be pronouncing this right, but Swansea, Wales.
Yeah.
They're marketed in the US through New Orleans. Oh yeah, there's the ad. Okay. From a company called Tano, but it was mainly, in Europe. Okay, so They were produced from 1982 to 87, and they used a Motorola MC 6809E processor that had 0.89 megahertz.
Okay.
It didn't even have 1 megahertz. It was like almost 1 megahertz. It ran Microsoft Basic and their own proprietary Dragon DOS. Okay. That was its operating system it would use. Okay. They had like a lot of graphics limitations, which is why they couldn't compete. Their main competitors were it was basically the Tandies from Radio Shack, but it was like the pre-Tandies, the TRS. That's what it was. So, okay, they had graphics limitations, so they were having a lot of trouble with that. And it was like an 8-bit machine, but had some 16-bit capabilities, but not much. It didn't have any built-in disk operating systems, but you had a lot of peripherals you could add. And its main storage, like it didn't have a hard drive, it had compact cassette tape.
I remember these barely. I do.
Yeah. So anyway, they started making these in 82. Dragon filed for bankruptcy in 84. Yeah. So this is when this promotion is going. They're filing for bankruptcy at the same time.
No wonder they're trying to give this stuff away.
Right. Well, it got purchased by a Spanish company called, get this, Eurohard. Right. Trying to keep it PG, but you know.
Oh, there's got some Emmanuel over there.
Right. Well, that company went bankrupt in 1987.
God.
Okay. So the remaining stock in Europe was given away to subscribers by a Spanish electronics hobbyist magazine that had bought all their old stock. So if you did a 3-year subscription to their magazine, you got one of these Dragon 64s for free.
Please,
just for subscribing. Right. And they had so many of these. Like, this started in 1987. They were able to do that until 1992.
Oh God, they get with these old
8-bit computers into 1992. Okay. It gets worse.
But wait, there's more.
Right. Because you still had all the American stock that Tano had imported.
Oh,
and
God.
So it was still possible to purchase one of these computers new in box in America until 2017 from Tano's stock.
God,
they still had them like unopened that they were selling online.
I don't know how to feel about this.
Right?
What the heck?
It'd be like you go someplace and you find they're fully stocked of unopened Betamaxes. You know?
So I have a feeling though the unopened Betamax actually might be worth more than these things.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, I went down the rabbit hole on this one. I was like, this thing just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And yeah, they were still selling them brand new until 2017. I was like, really?
You can imagine, like, you open the box and it's all yellowed.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a guy on eBay we saw, because we were looking to see if there were any like on eBay.
Yeah.
And there's somebody selling I guess repro stickers for them to freshen them up, to replace the Dragon 64 stickers on them. Okay,
look, full disclosure, I'm Welsh. I'd love one of these things just to have it, but I don't want to put it anywhere because I don't want it to take up the room, because this old computers took up a lot of room, man.
And you have to get one of the big monitor. It doesn't come with a monitor. You have to get one of those big clunky cathode ray tube monitors, the CRTs.
No, it didn't even come with a monitor.
No, it was just the base computer, and then you can add all the stuff. And I think the monitor itself was just monochrome anyway.
Yeah,
so you get either the green or the amber.
Oh man, God, the green and the amber. Yeah,
the Oregon Trail type stuff.
Oregon Trail wasn't just a funny meme, kids. That's the only colors we had.
Yeah, I was saying it's all we had.
It's all we had. We see that you died of dysentery screen. It's all green and black. That's because that's what we had.
Not dysentery, just the screens. Well,
I'm sure some people probably had dysentery, but not I either.
Yeah, I wouldn't admit it.
All right. Oh man, so Yeah, okay. Once again, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to add something back to the show notes this week. Simon Lech, who has the Sunbow archive, the dude, he's had a hard time. He got by for a while, and people were actually able to help with the GoFundMe. And he's almost there. He got a job. He's trying to get solvent again, but he isn't going to get paid until after rent is due. So he put up his GoFundMe again to help out. The guy does a lot of good stuff for all fandoms, really, of Sunbow cartoons and shows. So I'm going to put that back in the show notes. I mean, whatever you can do, if you can, throw the guy $5, he'd appreciate it. Visit the Sunbow archive. The Sunbow archive has so much stuff; it's staggering.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love
it. Email us at morethanmeetstheseguys at gmail, Edhatestransformers at gmail.com. Visit the Discord, visit axonunderground.net, or look for the Facebook page of the Axon Underground. It's a good community, always growing again, because back in the mid to late 90s, it was a pretty big website, but things have moved on towards Facebook and whatnot. So they're trying to get it all kind of moved over that way.
Oh yeah.
So also a Discord for the Axon Underground, which you can find on the in the group. So anyways, long story short, come say hi. Tell us what you think of the show. Tell us if you like it, you don't like it, what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right. And let your friends know about it. Like, we're trying to try some different things here, going with the comics as well as the TV show or the movies. We should be branching out in some new territory here very soon. With a friend of mine, Jim, from Canada, he and I are going to get collaborating on something as well. So more stuff happening, branching out, trying new things.
That'll be fun.
Be cool if you guys were here for it. Just saying. All right, so that's it for right now. Anything you want to close with, man?
Yeah, I got another quote here. They're the friends of the one with whom the accursed Autobots have established contact.
Ravage?
That's Ravage again.
Yeah.
He talks a lot.
He has the best lines too.
He does. And he's always, you see his thought bubble, so you can see what's going on in his head too. It's a lot of fun.
He is the MVP for sure. All right, y'all.
Oh, totally.
Thanks
Bye.
for all me. See you later. These Guys is performed by Evan Johns and Ed Strickland. Research is performed by Evan Johns, Ed Strickland, and with special research done by Boo of the AxonUnderground.net. All used images in the videos are property of Sunbow, Hasbro, Paramount, or Marvel. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in every week with us. We appreciate it.